Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna and I'm a knitter, sewist, spinner, and general maker living in Seattle, Washington. Today I'm going to talk to you about what I worked on in the month of October, but I also just want to acknowledge that it's a weird time right now. And so I hope that this video doesn't come across as insensitive and can just kind of provide a bit of reprieve from a lot of anxiety and dissatisfaction with the state of current affairs. Yeah, it's been a weird week, but I hope that this can be kind of like a break from reality and we can just spend a few minutes not thinking about the news and just talking as friends about crafts, because I might just be spending a lot of time really focused on what I can control over the next months and years, and that is my crafting and making. So thank you for being here with me. I hope you're doing well. And I hope that we can just be a little more kind to our friends and neighbors in this and show each other a little bit more grace over the next few weeks and months as things change, because change is hard. So thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. So today we're going to talk about what I worked on in the month of October, and kind of what I'm planning to make over the next few months. I am now on maternity leave. I'm working just one day a week for the next several months, so I have a lot of time. Caroline can entertain herself and play on her own for a good amount of time, which is nice. So I will have a little bit, I think, more time for crafting over the next couple months, and I really want to focus on I want to focus on my making. I want to focus on real creativity, so thinking of new patterns and working on sewing. I want to make some Christmas stockings, and I'm just thinking of a lot of ways I can spend my time. Crafts I can do with her, stuff like that. But I think one of the things I want to do is sew some projects for Caroline, and I'm thinking I'm going to draft the patterns myself, just using some clothes that she already has, and I have a lot of ideas about what I want these things to look like, and I want to make them happen. And so I'm hoping to do that with the help some more classes from Craftsy, who's the sponsor of today's video. Craftsy is an online resource for all things creative. They have thousands of classes that cover all different types of creative pursuits, like sewing, I'm going to talk about in a minute. They have knitting courses. They have spinning courses. I really enjoyed the spinning courses that I've taken from them. They've got cooking and yoga and fitness. They have so many wonderful resources for creative pursuits, which is really great. So some of the classes that I think I want to spend some time with over the next couple weeks and months as I start building my skills in drafting sewing patterns are multi-size pattern grading down, kind of pattern grading for sewists, which is a course that I'm really excited about. There's also pattern drafting from ready to wear, which is taught by Stephanie Lasicam, which I think will be great because a lot of the things that I want to make, I think I'm going to use some of her existing clothes as a base, and that's something that I want to be able to do make clothes for myself as well. There's this whole designing your own wardrobe series with Susie Furr, and so there's a drafting pants class and a drafting tops class. I think those will be super helpful. So yeah, I'm really excited to just dive into those courses, learn more about pattern drafting, because I feel like I understand knitting construction really well, but I want to get better at understanding sewing construction as well. And I'm hopeful that these classes will help me do that. So if you have not, I would invite you to check out Craftsy. The first 1,000 of you to click the link at the top of the description box or in the pinned comment will be able to access a full year of Craftsy Premium for only $1.49. So it's really exciting. They have so many great resources. I think you'd really enjoy it. If you haven't already checked it out, please do. And thank you again to Craftsy for sponsoring this video. All right, enough about future projects. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. But let's talk a little bit about works in progress. So I have one that you've seen before that I'm hopefully really going to be almost done soon. I know I've been saying that for months. And then a couple that you haven't seen before, haven't seen in a while, and a couple finished objects. So we'll start with those, I guess. That's how this normally goes. I did a lot of knitting for Caroline this last month. That's what took up a lot of my time. So the first finished object is this Holger sweater by Petite Knit. The Holger sweater is originally made to have really cute stripes, and I have made it twice and not made it with the stripes. But I will so far. Beyond that, I think it's just a really nice fingering weight drop shoulder kids pattern. So this is a sweater from the Holger baby set, by the way. I made this size 1 to 2 years. I've made it before. This is the second time that I've made it. And I used one skein of Bumble Birch fibers, non-superwash or 100% superwash merino in the color Poppy. Bumble Birch is no longer dyeing, so you can't get this yarn anymore, but I think it's beautiful and I really enjoyed working with it. The color consistency across the skein was incredible. I didn't alternate skeins at all for this project. So the yoke is knit flat and then the body and arms are knit in the round. And you can kind of tell where I went from knitting flat to knitting in the round, but I did not alternate skeins. And I think that the lack of pooling is really incredible. Like the distribution of the lighter colors and darker colors is, especially on the camera, I think there's a difference, but I don't think you would notice if you weren't looking super closely. And there's not a ton of like spiraling or repeating. Like the colors are very well distributed, even in the arms. And I think it's funny that like there is a spot on the arms where there's like a couple of these little white spots and they're on both of the arms in the same place, which is so funny to me because I don't even know how that happened, but it did. So it honestly makes it look even more matchy and cute. And then I did make a couple modifications to the pattern. The ribbings are a little bit shorter because I only had one skein of this yarn. And it's like a pretty generous, I think it was like 450 yards or 485 yards for 100 grams. So it was like, there was pretty good yardage, which is why I was confident I could get this sweater out of one skein of that yarn. I think the pattern calls for 2 balls of Sunday by Sendus Garn, or maybe like 120 grams of yarn for this pattern, for the size that I'm making. And I've made it before and I did use 2 balls of Sunday, that's like 470 meters ish of yarn. But this one, I was able to eke out of one skein. I have like a teeny tiny little nugget, like 2 grams left. And I actually weighed it in the end in this, I had more than 100 grams in the skein. So I probably had about 500 meters of yarn, which was perfect because I was able to get this sweater out of it. And she's worn it a few times and it's really cute. It is oversized because this is a 1 to 2 year size and my daughter is almost 9 months old. So I do have to roll the sleeves up a bit, but the length is good. She fits the width. She's got a belly, so it's not like super oversized on the body, but I think it'll continue to fit her for a while. And then yes, so for the neckline, the pattern is written with a double folded collar that has some like double knitting to fold the collar. And I was worried about meterage, so I ended up just doing a single folded collar. And then I just did an Italian bind off on the neck, which I think turned out really well. Another thing about this skein is that one end of the skein was a lot darker than the other. So as you can see, like I started with one end of the skein up here and knit that way. And then this is from the other end of the skein, the collar. So it's a lot more darker and more like rich, saturated is the word I'm looking for. It's more saturated than this part, but I think that looks nice. I think it makes the collars stand out. And then you can kind of tell that the arms are like a little bit darker than the body because they are from that second half of the skein. But I still think it looks really nice and cohesive. I just think it's so cute and like very fun fall. I didn't finish it in time for her to wear it to the pumpkin patch, but she has worn it I think 2 or 3 times already, and we're going to visit some family in Utah in a few weeks, so it'll be very snowy and wintry, and so this will be great for her to have a lovely woolly sweater for our trip. So yeah, I think it turned out really well. I guess I also shortened all the ribbings. I think it calls for 2 to 3 centimeter ribbings, and I just did 6 rounds on all the ribbings. If you've followed me for a while, you know I like my ribbing lengths to match. So for everything, cuffs, hem, and collar, I just did 6 rounds of ribbing and an Italian bind off. And I'll put it up close so you can see. I just think it turned out really cute, very crisp, very, like, I often, when I'm knitting flat, have a little bit of trouble with rowing out. Even on my other version of this sweater that I've made, there is some rowing out, and there is no rowing out. I don't know if it's the yarn that made it a little bit easier for me to get an even gauge, but the tension is incredible. And often to combat rowing out, I'll use 2 different size needles. So I'll like go down half a needle size on the purl side. But because I was using a fixed circular for this, it's knit on a 3mm needle. And I just used a 16-inch fixed circular for like the entire body. And then I think I magic looped the arms. But I used a fixed circular, so I couldn't go down a size. And I still don't have like any rowing out. I'm actually very impressed. So it must be the yarn, the superwash merino just kind of like settles in a little better. But the only thing I'm a little bit worried about with the superwash is that it's going to pill. And I've noticed like it's a little bit fuzzy. She's worn it a couple times. It's a little bit fuzzy. I wouldn't say it's like pilling yet, but I am worried it's going to look ratty if I'm not careful. So I'm just going to take good care of it and hope that it'll stay nice for a while, because theoretically 1 to 2 years, like she could wear this for 2 more winters after this, depending on how big she gets. So yeah, that's my finished Holger sweater. I think it's darling. I really like it. And I know, I think I said after I made the caramel cardigan in my last video that I was done doing fingering weight baby knits, but that's frankly a lie, because I knit this entire sweater. And then I have more fingering weight baby knits that I'm going to do. So they're just so convenient, so that they don't overheat, but they're woolly and warm. I don't know. I like a good fingering weight baby knit. So yeah, that's my Holger sweater. I'm really happy with how it turned out. And I had this yarn in stash for a really long time. I think I bought it in 2021. So I was really happy to be able to get it out of stash, to use like all of it up on a project that I will get to enjoy, watching my little girl roll around on the floor and crawl and someday walk, wearing this beautiful sweater. So yeah, that's my Holger sweater. And then I have one more project that I made for Caroline, and that is this. This is the November balaclava by Petite Knit. Petite Knit's, I just really trust Petite Knit for children's patterns because she has 5 children. So I assume she knows what they need to wear and what fits. So I like her kids' patterns a lot. So I made the November balaclava. Basically, I made Caroline a beanie with my hand spun yarn because it's getting cold and she needs something to wear on a walk, and she pulls it off. Like, she doesn't like it on her head. It bothers her and she takes it off. And so but it's cold, like it's getting cold, and her ears get cold if we're out on a walk or going to the swings or whatever. So she needs something to keep her head warm. So I figured a balaclava would be a lot more difficult for her to pull off. So that's what I went for. And then nothing. That's what I went for. This is the November balaclava, and it's 2 yarns held together. So the main strand is John Arbin Knit by Numbers. I think it's the color 60. John Arbin Knit by Numbers is a beautiful yarn. It's 100% merino, and it's like really heathery and blended. It's all of these it's different fiber blended together basically. So this one is like kind of a light green, but it has yellow bits in it. I bought this yarn like very soon after I found out that I was pregnant, and I knit her a little sweater and bonnet and pants set out of it to come home from the hospital in. And so she didn't get to wear it for very long because it's in the little tiny size. So but I have more of it left over. I had I think I bought 300 grams of it, and I used like 150 for the outfit. And so I had a good amount of this left. It's so soft, it's so squishy, and I love the color. So I figured I would use it for this. And then the mohair that I held with it for the bulk of the balaclava is African Expressions Hope in the color, I don't remember the number, but that yarn is not super easy to come by anymore. So I'm not sure that you'll be able to find it anyway, but it's just like a light green. For the ribbing around the face, I decided not to hold the mohair just because it gets like in her neck. Like, she has chunky neck, and so oftentimes if she's wearing something fuzzy, it gets stuck in her neck, and I didn't want it like in her mouth and stuff. So I left the mohair out of the ribbing, and you can just kind of see the difference in color between the regular yarn and the yarn held with the mohair. It's very subtle here, but yeah. This is knit in half fisherman's rib, so it's so squishy and lovely. It knit up pretty fast. I think I did it in like 2 or 3 days over a weekend, I think. And it's really nice. I have not blocked this because I think my gauge is a little bit off, and I also knit the largest size. So this pattern has like a 0 to 1 year old size, a 1 to 2 year old size, and then like a 2 to 7 year old size. And I knit the largest size because my daughter has a large head. She's like top of the charts for head circumference. She would have been like kind of in the 1 to 2 year old size, or she was like on the brink between the 0 to 1 and the 1 to 2. But the size range wasn't huge. So I just decided to go for the biggest size, and that way she can grow into it and I don't have to make her another one. And also because this is fisherman's rib, like it is extremely stretchy. So she will be able to fit this for a while, but I didn't want to block it because I didn't want it to stretch out even more yet. And it fits totally fine, and the stitches look fine as is. So I will block it when it needs blocking, but for now it fits. It's a little loose, like it's not super tight to her head right now, which I think is fine. But it does do the job. She can't pull it off super easily. She can kind of like twist it, and so it like spins around, but she can't pull it all the way off. So, and if I put it on her and then like distract her for a while, I think she forgets that she's wearing it. So it's been good so far. It's fit for purpose, and it's so soft and squishy, and I'm glad that I made it. So I think it's really cute. that is my second finished object and my only other finished object. So that's what I have. But I do have a few whips. So we'll start with the one that you've seen many times before. This is my cloud sweater, also by Petite Knit, that I've been working on since August. But I'm getting so close, you all. I think the last time I showed it to you, it didn't even have, I wasn't even finished with the body. So I have finished the body and I finished an entire sleeve and I've started the second sleeve and I have the collar on. So I'm very happy about that. Did I break my yarn? No. Okay. I'm knitting this with 2 strands of Nutiden in the color Sticka, which is from their February collection. It's a gorgeous like buttery yellow. I really like the color. And yeah, so this is my cloud sweater. I made mine with a taller collar. I've done, the pattern itself has like a low rolled collar and I wanted more of like a mock neck. So I knit it twice, actually, the collar. I picked up the number of stitches that is recommended in the pattern and knit the whole collar and bound it off. And I'll put a video here, but it was huge. It was like standing up really weird and it didn't look good basically. So I pulled it out and re-knit it with me probably like honestly 30 fewer stitches. I took a ton of stitches out and it does fit. It's still like a little bit wider than I think I would like, but it looks a lot better now. It fits closer to the neck. It stands nicer. And overall, I just think it looks better. So that's good. I'm worried that maybe it'll get a little bit floppy when I block it, but we'll address that when it becomes a problem. The other modification that I've made to this is that I just made the ribbings longer. So I think in the pattern, it's like just a few, maybe like 3 or 4 rounds of rib. I doubled that to go for 8. I just wanted more of a cuff, a longer cuff. So yeah. I've just picked up for the second sleeve. I can actually put this on for you really quick. Let's see. Here we are. So as you can see, the collar is kind of like a mock neck length and it's loose, but it's not super loose, which I think is nice. And then the sleeve is done. It's like a little longer than bracelet length. And I've just picked up for the other one. I'll do a little, sorry, that probably needed to be closer to this. The ribbing keeps flipping up, but I think it'll lay nicer when it's blocked. And yeah, so you can kind of see what it's going to look like if I go out of the frame over here. But yes, I'm really happy with it. I think it's going to be really cute when it's done. The sleeves are maybe a little wider than I would have liked. I did increase the taper a little bit. So like I decreased more frequently than it told me to. So I have the number of decreases that I need, but actually that just means my sleeve. So like, okay. These are not the actual numbers in the pattern, but I'm just going to say like it wanted me to decrease every 20 rounds. I did it 2 rounds more frequently than that. So I would do like, if it said 20, I would do 18. It is kind of a larger number. It's not that number, but it's a larger number. And so I just figured that was going to be too long. I have to do a certain number of repeats. So I have the number of repeats that I need to decrease, but I just did it more frequently and it ended perfectly. So I'm glad that I did that because it would have been way too long if I had done the increase or the decrease rate written in the pattern. But yeah, I feel like this cast off is a little flary, but we'll see when I block it. And if I need to change it, I can. But yeah, so it's going to be very loose and cozy and delightful. And I'm really excited to have it done. This sleeve knit up in like a day or 2, maybe more like 2 or 3, but I picked up the sleeves the stitches for this last night. So I think after Caroline goes to bed tonight, I will probably do like half the sleeve tonight and the rest of it tomorrow, and then it will be done, which is very exciting. Like I said, we're going out of town in a couple weeks, so I want to finish this before we go so I can take it with me. But yeah, I love the color. I love the look. It's very cute, and I'm excited to be done. I think I will be able to finish with just these last 2 plates of Nutiden, and then I'll have a whole plate left over. So depending on how much I have of this left over and then that one, I might be able to make the cloud sweater baby or cloud sweater junior for Caroline, and then we can have like actually matching sweaters. That would be very cute. So yeah, we'll see how much yarn I have, but that would be really fun. I think I'll be able to do it. So yeah, that's my cloud sweater. I'm really glad to have this. I'm really excited to have this done because I've been working on it for a long time and I'm ready to work on something else. So yeah, that is that on that. I'm gonna take it off now. Brief pause in the whips because I realized that I forgot to tell you what I'm wearing today. This is my Marseille sweater by Petite Knit. I knit this April, like springtime 2023. And I love it. It's very roomy, very cozy, very oversized, very lovely. I used Briggs & Little Regal in the color Pine for mine, and I love it so much that I think I want to make another one, but maybe just a solid that I'll talk to you about in a minute. But I'm really enjoying it, and I do want to make I do want to use this yarn again. There's a color called copper that is beautiful that I really like. And actually, my favorite place to buy Briggs & Little in the US is from Maritime Family Fiber. And the copper color, they do like a color of the month every month. It's $2 off the skein. And that color is on sale this month. And the skeins are like $8 already. So $6 a skein for 100% beautiful Canadian wool. I think I'm going to order it. So, yep, that is what I'm wearing. I love it. I love it so much. It's so cozy and delightful. And yeah. Okay, so actually, that's a good lead into my next whip, which is also knit in Briggs & Little Regal. One of my favorite yarns of all time. This is my second Elva slipper, which is a pattern by Kaisa Viorella, I think. It's from Lina's 52 Weeks of Socks. So I knit the first one in April, maybe earlier. No, I was knitting it in June. I knit it in June of this year. It's a cute little slipper pattern that you knit. You start at the heel and then knit to the toe and do an I-cord around the foot opening. So when you're wearing it, it's like this. It's very cute. It's very cozy. And so I finally cast on the second one and I'm like halfway down the foot, I think. So I'm getting pretty close. This actually goes really quite fast because it's like a fairly large, I mean, it's not like your average sock gauge. So yeah, I'm about halfway down the foot and then I just have the toe and the I-cord. So I'm hopeful that I can finish this. And then I want to finish my cloud sweater and then I'll finish this probably before we go out of town so I can have it done. I'm using Briggs & Little Regal. Speaking of Maritime Family Fiber, they do these really cute mystery bags. They have an autumn mystery bag and like a winter mystery bag, and they do jumbo ones and mini ones. And so you get like a couple skeins of yarn and some tea and some candy and like a stitch marker. It's really fun. And so last year for Christmas, I asked for the winter mini mystery bag, and that came with these 2 skeins of yarn, which is the Regal base, which is a DK weight 2-ply woolen spun yarn. And this is the color Fundy Fog, which is the most beautiful purple. I honestly would make a sweater out of this color. It's so pretty. It's like so beautifully heathered. And then this is the color Plum, which is also heathered, but they're gorgeous. And I'm, like I said, I'm like almost halfway through the second slipper and I have like 80 grams of each of these still. So I think I'm going to make, if I can muster the energy, I might make a second pair with the main color and contrast color switch and give them as a Christmas gift, but we'll see if I can get around to that. I should probably do that. But yeah, that's my second work in progress. I'm excited to have it. These slippers are going to be really cozy. And I think it will be nice to finish this project up because it's kind of been lingering for a while. So yeah, those are my slippers. And that's that. And then my last work in progress, you will probably be, I feel like I've been talking about for a while. I have all this yarn and I wanted to make a blanket and I finally cast on a blanket. So this is the Color Brick Road pattern by Pearl Soho, which recently came out. So back up, I have a ton of this Lamb's Pride worsted, which is 85% wool, 15% mohair, single ply, worsted weight yarn. And I had it in like 10 colors, 1 skein each that my mom found at a thrift store. And they kind of have like a nice color story. So I was like, oh, I'll use those to make a blanket. And I was umming and ahhing about what pattern to make for a really long time. And then this Color Brick Road pattern came out from Pearl Soho. And I was like, oh, that is perfect because I can kind of do a fade. So basically how you do it is you knit these like strips of color and then you modularly add like rows of the colors along the blanket as you go, but you the pattern is written to use like 2 strands of fingering weight yarn together and you just kind of like marl them differently. But the way that I'm going to do it is that I'm going to fade them down the length of the blanket. So we started with white, we've got blue, we've got this blue-green. This is the only place where it's kind of hard to tell that there's 2 separate colors. They're pretty close, but it's easier to tell in natural light. You can kind of tell. This one's it's hard to tell. There you go. That's a little more true to color. This is like a little bit more blue and this is a little more green. But basically you can see that I like have a half brick of this one and then this one. So on the next row, I will start with the blue and then move the white back down to this end. So it's hard to see the whole thing. Basically, it's like kind of like a fade, but not the most perfect fade. So I have white, I have this like bright blue. This is like a more blue leaning green. This is a green leaning blue. or this is a green leaning blue, and this is a blue leaning green. Then we have this bright green, a dark pine color, this kind of like sagey color, this light green, and then a cream on the end. So I'm more than halfway through the second strip of this, and it's just garter stitch, modular knitting, and I think it's going to be really cozy when it's done. I don't really have like a deadline for this, but this is just something that I can knit on when we're like watching TV, or if Caroline is playing, this is a really easy thing to knit on. So yeah, I'm knitting this to take part in the Woolly Knit and Knitting Traditions blanket along, which started 1st of November, maybe in October, 1st of October, and goes till March. So I don't know that I'm going to have this done by the end of the knit along, but I'm really enjoying working on it, and I'm glad to have this yarn finally like doing something and not just sitting in this basket. So yeah, the colors were kind of like, it was like hard to decide the order. Mostly it was this bright green that I'm having. I couldn't tell where to put it. I've decided to put it here, and I'm not sure that I'm obsessed with that decision, but it's the decision that I've made and I'm sticking to it. So yeah, that's my blanket. It's going to be really long. I think this is like as tall as I am. So it's like maybe a little bit longer than me even. And with blocking, it'll stretch even more. So I think it's going to end up being like 6 feet long. And then I think I weighed my yarn for one of these, and it took like 10 grams, 11 grams maybe. And these are 130, these are 4 ounce skeins. So it's 113 grams. So I should be able to get 11 rows of these with all the yarn that I have. I'll probably have some left over, but at least 11 rows across. So, and each of these rows is like, each row is about 3 inches across. So if I do 11, that's 33. Maybe I can eke out 12, and it'll be like 3 feet across and 6 feet long. That would be fun. So yeah, that's my blanket. I'm working away on that. Basically, I feel like I should do like 2 rows a month and I'll be good. I feel like one strip takes me like an hour to do. So yeah, that's what I'm going to keep chugging along over the next while. So yeah, that's all my knitting projects. I haven't done any sewing this month, but I did just last night cut out the pattern for the Jenna shirt by Closet Core Patterns in a green and white stripe that I'm kind of scared to attempt, but I'm going to attempt it nonetheless. So we'll see how that turns out. And then my spinning, I did finish spinning my Brat Summer yarn, which I didn't bring up to show you, but that's finished spinning. And then I started working on some little sample spins as like a break, and then I've started spinning for a sweater project. So that's really exciting. If you watched I don't remember if it was a couple months ago now, probably. I think it was maybe in August. I placed an order from World of Wool, which is a British website that sells wool and fiber. And I made like a little sample kit of a bunch of different breeds just to test out different fibers and see what I like. And so I started spinning some of the top from that. So this one is the first one that I spun. This is 100% Corriedale in this beautiful natural sheep's brown. It's quite dark, and it's coming up a little bit darker on camera than it is in real life, but it's a really beautiful squishy brown. And I've decided I'm just going to spin all of the samples 2-ply, kind of my natural weight, which is like it's just about a sport weight. So that's this one. It's super bouncy and squishy. And then the next one I spun was 100% Gotland, which this was quite challenging to spin. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really enjoy it. But this is how it turned out. It is natural gray, and you can just see, like, this is why sheep and wool is so cool. Like, these are both 100% wool, but this is like so drapey, and this is so can't see it, so squishy and bouncy, and this is so like dense and drapey. I don't know, like, that's crazy that these are both from the same animal, like not actual animal, but like same species, but so different. It's fascinating. I love it. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep spinning these samples up as and when. It's really fun. It's like a breed study for me, basically, so I'm enjoying that. And then I did a little sample for my first ever sweater spin. So another thing that I bought from World of Wool was a kilogram of Shetland. I got this natural gray Shetland, and I ended up spinning it up. I spun up a little 20-gram sample and then swatched, because my original plan was to make the Waffle Loops sweater by Other Loops. So here's my swatch. This is my yarn that I spun. It's so squishy and soft and very fuzzy. It's probably about Heavy Sport Light DK, the way that I spun it. The singles are not perfect. This is not the most beautiful, like consistent yarn, but it's pretty nice. You can kind of see it there. It's very springy. It's very squishy. It's very heathered. I really, really like it. So this is my swatch. The bottom is just plain stockinette, and then the top is the texture for the waffle loop sweater. And I think I like the stockinette more than the texture. I think the stockinette shows like the heathery nature of the fiber even more, and it looks more fuzzy. And also this yarn doesn't have amazing stitch definition, as you can see up here, because I'm spinning it long draw, so it's woollen spun. It's a little fuzzier. It's a little more like, it just doesn't have a great stitch definition, which I'm not sure you need for a waffle texture, but I just think, I like the plain stockinette fabric more. I think it just shows off the beauty of the yarn a little more. So I think I've decided that I'm going to just spin and knit a plain stockinette sweater. I think I'm going to knit the Marseille sweater, just use this pattern to make a beautiful plain staple gray sweater that I spun the yarn for myself. So I'm really enjoying this. It's so pretty. I wish you could feel it because it's got like a good amount of lanolin in it still. So it's got like a little bit of like, I don't know, it's tactile. And then the fiber is neppy and beautiful. I don't know. I'm really enjoying it. So I've started spinning the singles. I think I've decided I'm just going to spin like jumbo 100-gram bobbins of singles. I have 5 bobbins for my wheel. And I think I've decided I'm going to spin 4 full 100-gram bobbins of singles and then ply onto that 5th bobbin, like ply as much as I can, pull it off, and then so I'm going to spin a bunch of singles, ply a bunch of yarn. I think I'll probably need like 500 or 600 grams of fiber to get a sweater quantity. For the 20-gram sample that I did with this yarn, I ended up with about 50 meters. So that means I'm spinning like a true DK about 250 meters per 100 grams. So I would probably need about 500 meters to get a sweater. I used, or 500 grams. I used for the Briggs & Little, this is 272 yards per 100 grams, I think. So that's about 250 meters. And I used almost 5 full skeins for this sweater. So I probably need, and that was with the stripes, so I probably need 500 or 600 grams of yarn to make myself another one. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm excited. I've almost finished my first bobbin of singles, and I'm just going to spin it as and when. Ideally, I think it would be nice to have it done for the end of the year, but I'm going to be gone from home for 2 weeks in November, and so I don't think, I mean, obviously I'm not spinning during that time. I'm not taking my spinning wheel on a tropical vacation with me, and then we're doing a good amount of traveling, so I'm not taking my spinning wheel for that, and I don't want to spindle spin it because 1, I don't really like spindle spinning, and 2, I feel like it would change the consistency of the yarn. So I'm wondering if I can like finish spinning all of the yarn by my birthday, which is middle of January, then I can maybe cast it on my birthday. That sounds kind of fun. We'll think about that. My birthday is also inauguration day, so maybe it would be a good distraction. So yeah, maybe that's my new goal that I've just come up with, is to finish spinning the yarn for January. So it's like 2 months away, 2.5 months almost. If I can spin 100 grams a week, and like if I do 4 weeks of spinning 100 grams, even 6 weeks of spinning the singles, and then give myself a week to do plying, or like maybe 2 weeks to do plying, I feel like it's pretty realistic that I can do it mostly by the end of the year. 20 grams of fiber a day, even for a week, in a week. That seems pretty manageable. So we'll see if I get there. But yeah, that's what I'm doing so far, and I'm really enjoying that. I think it's kind of nice to have like a long range spinning project. And this is actually the first time I've spun yarn with a specific project in mind. So that's also fun to like spin the yarn and like have something, like I'm getting closer to the goal of being able to cast on this sweater. So yeah, that's where I'm at with my spinning. Okay, I think that's all I have to chit chat about today. I don't know what I'm going to cast on for myself next, but I'm probably going to cast on the projects I've been talking about casting on for Caroline for months. The honey vest and the double trouble kids jacket. I think those are going to be my travel projects because they don't use a ton of yarn and they're more compact. That's part of the reason I found it so easy to knit this sweater in just a few weeks. Like this is probably the similar amount of stitches as my cloud sweater, but because it's so small, I can take it with me places. I can take it in the car more easily. So the little kids projects are convenient in that way. So yeah, I'm probably just going to work on some more stuff for Caroline. I would love to cast myself on a new sweater before the end of the year, but we'll see. So yeah, that's where we're at. That's where my projects sit for now. So thank you all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, I hope it was like a nice break from reality. I hope you're doing okay. I hope you're taking care of yourself, taking care of the people in your life that you love. And looking forward to like holidays are coming. Like we are ramping up to the holidays. Thanksgiving is going to be in a few months for those of you that celebrate. And then it is December, and December is Christmas. So I'm very excited. I'm excited to spend time with family in the next few weeks, and I'm excited to do some traveling and then just be home for December. That will be really nice. So yeah, again, I thank you so much for being here, for creating this wonderful community with me. You all make me feel very happy, and I love making these videos for you. I hope you enjoy them. Thank you again to Craftsy for sponsoring this video, for their ongoing support of my channel. It really does mean a lot to me. And yeah, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. Take care of yourselves. Giving you hugs, sending you love. Talk to you soon.